Hi everyone, Michelle here from the Creative Cove, and thanks for joining me today. I wanted to jump on and show you how to use up the little messy scraps that we've been doing. If you've been following me on my channel, I've been playing with lace and bits of fabric and paintings and drawings and pressed flowers and all kinds of goodies, making what I call messy scraps because nothing is straight. So today I thought we'd do some tulips. I've been sketching some tulips, which would also be really nice to add to this project, but I thought today we'd paint some just for some fun color and some vivid, bright spring inspiration. So I thought we'd make a little card today, something you can send in the mail, something you can give to somebody you haven't seen in a while, just something cheery with a nice little message or encouraging message or a simple I miss you or thinking of you or happy spring, whatever you're inspired to do. So I thought I'd walk you through the painting and then we'll make one of these little cards with ribbons and stuff. So follow along with me if you like, and let's start. So you're going to need some paints. As you can see, I've got my palette here, so I've used up some already, and I'm doing a pink version of tulips. You can do a yellow version, whatever color you like. You can do purple. If you've got a little blue, you can add to that. So these colors are my trusty green golds, Mars black, titanium white. I have a little raw umber, and I'm using some, what's this one called? Cadmium red. And I just dunked my card in the paint. I've been doing that all day. And also some cadmium yellow medium. So any kind of paint will work for this project. You don't have to go with the high-end, golden or anything. You can use whatever paint you like. Dollar store paint, whatever you've got. You use markers, anything, watercolor. You're gonna need a piece of paper. So I just used my coffee dyed paper. And then you're gonna need some water and some brushes. And I just use these rough dollar store brushes are my go-to. And you're going to need a little bit of paper towel. So I've knocked my water over twice. I have dunked my paper in my palette, so it's just been a typical Monday morning here. So if I make a big mess, just a heads up, it won't surprise me at all if I knock my water over during this video. All right, so I've got my scrap piece of paper. I'm going to just do a quick sketch. I think I'll use this side. No, I like the darker side. So I'm just going to do a quick sketch of some tulips. So I start with a kind of a wonky little line here. So this is the side piece of the one petal. And I'm going to do another one here. And I don't put too much detail in because I'm going to paint it all out anyways. So you can sketch along with me, or you can use a stamp if you have a stamp. And I don't want to put too much detail into my sketches. Because again, I'm going to be painting them. And I kind of like those ruffled tulips. So there's some tulips. I'm going to give myself a petal. And I'm going to clean up my lines in just a second. I want to bear in mind too the size that I'm making it so that it fits on a folded piece of paper. So I'm just going to clean up those two lines. And I think that's it. And we'll just start painting it in. So let's use some brushes here. So I'm just going to use my little tiny, medium little rough looking brush. And I'm going to hopefully have the palette in view here. Might switch it around so it's a little bit closer. There we go. Zoom you in a little bit. Okay, hopefully I remember to zoom you out when we sew. So let's do some pink. And like my sketches, I just like to throw the color in nice and loose. I'm not worried about really staying in the lines all that much or getting right up to the line. Right now I'm just kind of color blocking it. And I'm just painting the petals in with a coat of pink. And then we can really play with the color after. I like those tulips that have like a multicolor, so I like to add the yellow into this tulip. I'm sure they have a specific name, but there's nothing more satisfying than after a long winter seeing these beautiful little green tips of tulips pop up through the dirt, through some snow, and it's just, yes, there's going to be spring soon. So now I'm going to add some dark red. So I'm going to add a little bit of that Mars black and some red. And I put my dark values in where I would think less light is going to hit these petals. So this inner petal here would be a little bit in shade. The back end of these petals, maybe the bottom of this one. And you can see I'm just kind of rubbing the paint in where I want it. I'm not going heavy with the paint because I personally like to work dry on dry. Well, obviously not dry on dry, but like very dry brush with a little bit of paint on it. That's just the style I like to paint. But that doesn't necessarily mean that's how you like to paint. You might like wet on wet and working with very wet paint and blending. And you're gonna find what you like to do, what comes naturally to you, the more you start painting. But this is just nice and loose. I'm not stressing myself thinking, are they gonna like this card? You know, is this gonna be good enough to mail? Because the minute I start putting that kind of pressure on myself, I start to second guess my work. So I just like to just paint. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, I just keep it and try it again. So I just used a little bit of that really beautiful green gold, and I'm just gonna fill in my stems and my leaves. Again, very messy, not overly concerned. And I add white to it because this green gold is very transparent. So the white gives it it makes it more opaque. So the color sits on top of the paper a little bit better. And I'm gonna add a tiny bit of black. It might be too much black, so I'll just wipe my brush off and just add a little bit of that to it. I just want to darken under here a little bit. I'm just going to throw it in my stems where I think the shade would be. So if the light's coming down from here, underneath this petal would be in shade. The base would be in a little bit of shade. The back of this what's it called? Leaf. Yep, it's Monday. And I just throw a little bit in here. And we can come back to that once it's dry. I'll rinse my brush again. Use my paper towel. I always have one of these in my hands. They're so handy. So let's brighten up and maybe come back to the petals here and redefine them a little bit. So I'm going to use a little bit of white, and I'm going to use a touch of yellow. And I'm going to create that kind of creamy buttercup white. Creamy buttercup yellow, I should say. And I'm gonna throw maybe a little bit more yellow. Throw this color in. I'm just gonna pull it down with my finger. And again, acrylic paint, very forgiving. So if you've overdone it, put too much paint on, it's okay. Just let it dry and go back over it. I'm always going back and forth. And acrylic paint is really about layers. It's layer after layer, trying to achieve the look you want. So I'm gonna go back into the pink now and throw some more pink in there. So I want a nice light pink, white and red. And let's rub some of this in there. And you just keep working back and forth till you get the overall look you're wanting. And now I want to go with more red. Really pop that pink. And then we'll work on some of the finer details to, again, separate these petals visually, because they do get lost when you're kind of a messy painter. But you're building up all these nice little, oh, got paint on my finger. You're building up all these nice little values in here of different colors, different shades, things like that. So let's grab some more white. And I think I'm just gonna pop a little highlight on some of these. So now I'm going into each petal, into each shape. Get those back petals a little. And you can go back with the dark, which I think we'll probably end up doing. So redefining this petal and separating it from the one behind. I think I'll add some pink to this yellow. Just tone it down a bit. There we go. It was a little bit too bright for me. And then this one as well, we'll pop this one. And we'll put a little bit on the edge of this petal. So you can see it visually separates the three. Throw a little bit on here. A little bit on the back edges of these back petals. Just so they're included. Clean up the edges a bit. Excuse me. Let's go back in with some of this darker red. Just a little bit more contrast in some spots. Just to really pop these colors. Sometimes it takes less color and just a little bit more contrast to really make something pop. So we'll really drop that color in here. Throw a little bit in the stems and the leaves. I think we'll go back with some yellow. So you can see it's a lot of back and forth till we get what we want. You just keep playing. Just throw a little bit of yellow in here because I love that yellow and pink together. There we go. Put a bit of yellow in the stems. I mean in the leaves here and in the stem. And then I'm going to go back with just a little bit more red, just to pop the red just a bit, because I love the red. And again, you can paint these any color you want. You can do orange. And if you've got some blue on your palette, you can make purples. There, I think that works. Maybe a little bit of a highlight. See what I mean? You can just keep going and going. So I'm just going to add a little bit of that white, yellow, and a touch of pink. I'll wipe a lot off, and I'm just going to really pop the edges of these ones. And I like to use my finger just to smear it down. Really clean up this edge here. This edge. So you got that nice contrast of dark tones and light values here. Yeah, oh, what a nice little card this will be for a surprise for someone. Sharing your little art and art pieces and talent with other people. Maybe you have a pen pal or somebody who creates things as well, and you guys share and send each other little gifts like this. And you know, somebody who maybe likes journaling or junk journaling or something, after they've appreciated the card for a while, they can incorporate it into their journal or their scrapbook. So there we go. I think that will do. Get the idea. So I'm just gonna put a little bit more definition in these petals here so they don't get lost. There we go. Okay, so what I like to do, if my pen is going to cooperate, because it's on its last leg here, is I like the kind of sketchy look. I like the handmade, hand-drawn look. So I like to put some lines, contour outlines, I should say, not contour lines, back in my sketch. But that's just my taste. So you might like the nice clean edges, you know, you might take your time making this and doing nice clean edges when I am much more messy, but that's my style. And the more you play with paints and papers and drawings and things like that, you will you'll discover your style if you don't have one yet. You know what you're drawn to and things like that. And what you like now might not be what you like in a few years. It's forever evolving, which makes crafts and art so much fun. I was learning something new. Sorry, I'm just trying to get something out of this pen. There's not much left to it, as you can see. So I do feel that this tulip needs still a little bit more of a highlight at the top. I'm not satisfied with the top edge of these. I feel like the contrast isn't high enough. Just want to add just a touch more highlight. Maybe breaking this one right up. Feel like it's missing a little something something. There we go. See, acrylic, very forgiving, very easy to change. Just a little bit more highlight in these tulips. There, I thought they were getting up just a little bit dark. We don't want dark, we want bright. Well, at least I want bright on these. Okay, that's better. I feel like that should be a little bit brighter and cheerier. Still feel like I want to add some yellow. Let's add a little yellow. Yellow's just my favorite color, so whenever I can add it, I add it. Just makes me happy. There, that's better. Okay, so I'm gonna move this stuff out the way because of the day I'm having. I will knock it over. Move my water far away. Okay, so we have our little painting. Let's make it into a card now using some different textures, some scraps that you might have kicking around. I'm gonna chop it down, and you can see, again, I'm not worried about it being straight. It's handmade, it's rustic, it's the look I'm after. So now I'm going to use my stamp that I always use. It's just, I got it from Amazon. I ripped it off the backing of the wood that it came on. And it's just writing that you can't really read. And I'm using my Distressed Oxide here, Vintage Photo. And I like to just add this right over top. Make sure it's dry so it doesn't transfer the paint to your stamp. But if you're painting relatively thin with acrylic, it dries extremely fast. So it just kind of makes it look a little bit older, in my opinion. And I'm gonna darken up the edge. And then we'll sew it to some scrap fabrics. So before we sew it, let's grab a piece of paper that we can make out of a card. So I've got some white paper here. And we'll fold this in half. I had pre-folded it to help fold, so you do want to fold a nice edge. And then this is where it's going to go. Make sure it opens the right way, because I have done that before, where I've opened it the wrong way, sewed it to the wrong way. I'm going to zoom you out just a wee bit. Okay, so now we can play with different textiles, different fabrics that you might have kicking around. So I have some of this white linen looking stuff. And so I'm gonna add that. I like the ruffly edges. That's why I like to incorporate fabric. You don't even have to do this if you don't want to. You can just paint and fold the paper right into a card, really. But I do like the touch of some fabric and different textiles just to create some interest and some textures. I'm all about texture. So just rip that. And then I coffee dyed some lace. So I thought we could maybe incorporate some of this. So let's cut that off. Okay. All right, so we put the piece on an angle. So I do want some of the card to show up. So not all these are going to show, all these layers. And then this. And then I can cut the edge of this one. Just little bits coming up, poking out the side, you know. Cut this. And then maybe we'll add some ribbon like I did with the first one that I showed you. So here it is. So there's two ways of doing this. You can sew right to the card, which is what I'm gonna do, but your thread will show up on the inside. So if you don't want that look, then sew it like this and then just glue it down. So there's, you know, there's two ways of doing it. So you might not like the stitching showing in the other side. So I don't mind it showing. I just want to make sure I'm in because I don't want to make sure you can see me sewing. Not that I'm a good sewer. So I'm going to sew around this edge and this edge because I'm going to add some ribbon or something to this edge. So I'm going to try and center it as best I can. And stick it in my machine. I'm just going to do a straight stitch. Well, as straight as I can. Oh, am I sewing? Yeah, okay. Even if it's crooked, I think it adds to the charm of a handmade item. Go. So there it's sewn down, and like I said, it will show up through the other side. So if you don't like that, sew it all first before. So I have some ribbon, I have some white, I have some yellow. I pulled out some pinks. There's some pinks, so we can decide what we like. And I actually like the yellow. I don't think I like the white. Maybe something a little vintagey. Some lace bits I've got here. Something like this. So then you can just have so much fun layering up all your goodies that you have around the house. What else have I got? I got this piece, which I like. And I really like this one, actually. I wonder if that would go. Kind of gets lost against that other one, though, doesn't it? Bright pink. We're going to go crazy pink. Like, look at me, pink. Which is kind of fun. Or do we want to go back to the same pink I used before? It's like so many choices. I can't decide. Oh, I have brown too. We could go brown. Ooh, I don't know what to do now. There's so many choices. Okay, so I don't like the brown enough. I do want to go something kind of neutral underneath. So this, I think this came off like a sheet set that I bought, and it was wrapped with this stuff. So I keep everything. I drive people nuts in my house. That's something like this. Neutral and just a little punch of color so that these stay the focal point. Does that work? It's not really bright enough for me. Or we can use the yellow here. The yellow might work on this one, just so that it pulls the yellow out of the tulip. Maybe we'll do that. So sometimes choosing is the hardest part. I don't like that either. What else do I have? I've got this really gold color. That's kind of pretty. Do I have anything else really? There's something very vintagey. Let's do these three. Otherwise I'll be all day trying to choose. Let's just do it. So I'm not going to go with a bright pink or anything unless I put the bright pink way underneath. See, I just keep adding. Okay, bright pink. Let's try it. Neutrals. And just have a tiny bit of that pink popping through. So leave it in the comments what was your favorite combo. Let's see if I like this. That is kind of fun. I do like that. Maybe we'll just do straight down the side and nothing along the bottom. Let's just do it before I change my mind again. Oh, my sewing machine's in the way. There we go. Let's just do it. Sometimes crafting can be a challenge when you're indecisive. Let's make sure I lay this nice and straight. It would be nice to show off those other edges though, wouldn't it? Let's show those off. Just gonna move this over just a little bit. There we go. All right, I think I'm ready to sew here. Come on. There we go. And we're not covering any of the tulip, we're just adding a nice little accent color. You can zigzag this. I'm just gonna do a straight stitch because I'm pretty sure I've got all three of them lined up. Try and keep that straight as possible. All right, here we go. That's it. Move this out of the way. So there we go, there's our card. Let's take some scissors and just clean up the ribbon. Some sharp scissors next time. All right. I think what I will do is maybe darken the edges of this card as well with my ink, just to tie these colors into the edge because it's looking a little bit white. Just kind of makes it all a little bit more cohesive. There. So how's that for a cute little card for someone special? And again, you can add some inspirational words. If I can find my book underneath all my stuff. I made this book years ago, and it just holds little scrap papers. So I printed these things off a free download, and they're just cute little messages. So you can put in something positive, like let's say you're doing great, you know, words of encouragement. Say, we can all use that. Peaceful message. We could certainly all use that right now. And just something encouraging, a positive message. Let someone know that you're thinking of them. And there we go. Oh, and if you're wondering about this too, it's I just used some washi tape that I glue down backwards. So I glue the washi tape backwards so the washi tape's sticky, but it's not overly sticky. So you can just pull these messages off, and it's a great way to store little messages that are all messy. What are they called? You cut them out really fast and stick them in the book so they're ready to go when you need them. So I'm just gonna tone this down a little and match it to this color scheme because it's a bit gray. So just dirty it up like that. I'm going to take some glue, and I'll use a little bit of a heavier duty glue, the 3-in-1, just because I'm gluing it to some fabric as well. So we do want to use something a little bit heavier than a glue stick. And let's see where we want it. So we can put it up here, could put it down here. I think this one we'll do down here. There we go. So there we have 2 cute little cards to send in the mail this spring. And I hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, please hit the subscribe button and the like button, the thumbs up or whatever it is, and join me again for some more creative inspiration. And I'd love to hear what you think in the comment box below. So, and that's it, guys. Have a great day. Bye.